They want war. Crime babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking maintaining the truth, the high endeavor, but nature is subtle. If you stop the machines for a minute, you might hear, but they won't, cause the TVs whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguise is religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison.
As it seems to be going, a lot of stuff is popping off, and you know, is it a surprise? Is it a surprise? I can't say I'm surprised. You know, I like to stay myself ahead of kind of the conspiracies, you could say. I like to stay ahead of the conspiracies, not behind them. You know what I'm saying? I can think for myself, and you know, that's what God gave you a brain for, right? Or Mother Nature gave you a brain for, to be able to think for yourself. And let me know how the audio is real quick. 2 seconds too. Let me give it a second to make sure it's yeah. Let me know if the audio is good or if it's breaking up. But in any case, seems to be things popping off. Number one, one of the attorneys for Epstein just passed, right? 80 years old. Although he's 80 years old going to work, he was still working. Yeah, they haven't reported on what the cause of death was yet, but they did report that he was sick while working, apparently. Something like that, right? Now, people are saying it is kind of suspicious in light of the fact that people close to Epstein and tend to die, basically, tend to die. He's not the first one. This is not the first, you know, this is a lawyer, right? But in fact, what's already been pretty much happening is, let me see here. Is others have, like, for example, hold on, let me see. This is the wrong one. Let me pull the right one up. The cat, I mentioned Paris the other day, investigating the locations, because actually the news hasn't been following all the locations. They follow mostly Palm Beach, New York, one New York apartment, and then Epstein Island. But there's more locations. There was places in Texas. I think there was a place in Colorado, place in Michigan, place in, several different places. But in any case, also Epstein had a place in Paris, which Steve Bannon did his interviews at. We find out later that that's where the interview was conducted, in Paris. And I find that kind of interesting, very interesting that it was done in Paris, because the natural question I asked a few days ago, like a week ago, is when we were talking about the other locations is, okay, who else went to Paris? But here's somebody that people might find interesting that is out of Paris, and it's one of Epstein's partner. He financed this guy. What is his name? Jean-Luc. Let me see. Is this the right one? Oh, no, 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 no. Hold on. This is the Oath Keepers. So sorry about that. Actually, I had the issue again, and then a phone call came in at the same time, so it took me a second. Now, where was I? France. Jean-Luc. The modeling agency that Epstein was funding, right? So Steve Bannon meets in Paris, but that guy sounds like he's French, right? So, and he dies in France, locked up in custody. But let's just check this out real
Side,
quick.
turn image, deal, turn image 1, 3, turn image 4. Jean-Luc Brunel was a prominent French modeling agent and longtime associate of Jeffrey Epstein. Here's a clearer picture of who he was and his role in the Epstein network. Background and career. Born September 18, 1946, Neuilly-sur-Seine, France. Emerged as a well-known talent scout in the 1970s and 80s. Site, turn search, Karen Models. Headed this prestigious agency and claimed to have discovered top models like Christy Turlington, Mila Jovovich, Sharon Stone and Jerry Hall. MC2 Model Management. After being ousted from Karen in 1999 amid abuse allegations, he founded this US-based agency with financial backing from Epstein, Site Turn Search 2 Turn News 19 Nom. Connection to Epstein. Met Ghislaine Maxwell in the 1980s. She introduced him to Epstein, Site T Turn Search 6 Turn Search 2.
Wow.
Epstein allegedly funded Brunel's new agency. Brunel then allegedly scouted and directed young women to Epstein, Site Turn Search 25 for the Turn News 19 on. Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's most vocal accusers, claimed in court that Brunel sent teenage girls to Epstein and that she was forced to have sex with Brunel himself while still a minor. Site Search Turn News 19. Allegations and legal action. Named on CBS 60 Minutes and later in a BBC expose, accused of drugging, assault and rape of models. Site Turn 0 Image Turn 0 and Search 2 Turn 0 News 19. 2000s to 2010s continued to face accusations but remained active in the industry. Site Turn Search 6 Turn News. 2019. French authorities opened an investigation after Epstein's death. Site Turn Search 2 Turn News 21. 2020. Arrested at Paris Charles de Gaulle, charged with rape and sexual harassment of minors. Probe included allegations of trafficking girls to Epstein. Site News 21 Turn Search 30 done. 2022. Found dead in his La Santé prison cell. Ruled a suicide while awaiting trial. Site Turn News 9. Searched summary.
Now, this happens in Paris.
Jean-Luc Brunel was a central enabler in Jeffrey Epstein's network. A powerful modeling scout who allegedly used his influence to funnel girls, sometimes minors, to Epstein's circle. He was charged in France for sexual offenses and trafficking, but died before facing justice in court.
Yes. So, but that's Paris connection, right? Steve Bannon, ironically enough, recorded an interview with Epstein on camera in Paris. He went there to Paris. A lot of people didn't know that, but in any case, people are asking for the release of that tape, right? Epstein's brother is demanding the release of those videos. He wants those videos released, but Steve Bannon's also not releasing them, right? He's not willing to release them. I don't know what, not for free, but definitely not to help his MAGA base. That's the key thing. Steve Bannon is one of the key MAGA personas, right? You could even say one of the inventors, right? One of the founding fathers of MAGA. He actually has tapes of Epstein and isn't showing people. That's the ridiculousness of it. But he could put it on the internet, right? There's more to it. Has anyone interviewed him? Have the police, have the feds interviewed him about that? But in any case, I'm getting to my point. So this is just another person that died in prison of suicide. Jean-Luc connected to Epstein in 2022. That goes into Ghislaine Maxwell's current situation, right? And what her family says about
Roy
her.
Black, the Miami defense lawyer who famously
This is Roy Black, who just dies today in the last 24 hours, right? Lawyer to Epstein. Lawyer to Epstein. He's one of the dudes that worked on the pardon for Epstein.
represented Jeffrey Epstein, had been battling an illness prior to his death, though none of the news reports specify what that illness was. According to multiple outlets, WSVN, Local 10, Black had been battling an illness while still continuing to work at his law firm, and died at home in Coral Gables on Monday, July 20th, 2025. Turn search, turn 1 search, 8 ad. Obituaries consistently describe it as an illness, but they do not identify the specific condition. Turn search, 7. So in short, yes, he was sick, but the exact nature of his illness has not been publicly disclosed. Let me know if you'd like help finding more personal tributes or details from his firm or family statement.
The timing is hella suspicious. Just the
Yes,
timing.
prominent Miami defense lawyer Roy Black, who represented Jeffrey Epstein among many high-profile clients, died this week at age 80. He passed away on Monday, July 21st, 2025, at his home in Coral Gables, Florida, following an illness. Turn search, 5 turn search 3C. His law partner, Howard Srebnick, described him as the greatest criminal lawyer of our generation and a mentor for over 30 years. To search 5 turn search 7. Colleagues in Miami's legal community calling greatest of all time for his courtroom dominance and relentless preparation. Turn search 7 turn
Wow.
search, turn search 9. Roy Black's legacy includes securing Epstein's controversial 2008 plea deal in Florida after negotiating a non-prosecution agreement, turn search 3. Leading a rare televised acquittal in the 1991 rape trial of William Kennedy Smith, bringing national...
All right. So that brings us to Ghislaine Maxwell, right? And all this stuff that's going on with her. Now, she is allegedly, according to her brother, has been afraid for her life ever since this death. Ever since this death right here, just a couple years ago, 2022, of this guy, and maybe the entire time, who knows? Apparently since Epstein's death, but also since this death. Yeah, that's right. She actually spoke about this both times, saying that she kind of she feels that Epstein's death wasn't a death, it was a murder. She's been saying that the entire time and has been fearful. This guy dies in 22. Her brother comes out and says that the family is worried for her life. She's not suicidal, but she feels like she could easily end up like one of them. Right. And so there's some issues going on right now. Let's see here.
Yes, according to her brother Ian Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell does fear for her life in prison. He has repeatedly voiced concern that she could be harmed or even killed while incarcerated. Brother's concerns for her safety. Ian Maxwell believes his sister is at great risk in prison, likening her potential fate to that of Jeffrey Epstein and another associate, Jean-Luc Brunel, both of whom died while detained. So News 15 and turn News 16, so turn search 9. He highlighted dangerous conditions, noting staff shortages and the presence of higher risk inmates at her federal facility in Florida, which exacerbates her vulnerability. Cited 15:9. Harsh detention conditions. In the Metropolitan Detention Center, Brooklyn, Ian described her confinement as effectively solitary, with constant surveillance, 10 cameras, 4 guards, a 6x9 feet cell, and deprivation of sleep, by having a flashlight shone into her eyes every 15 minutes at night. He calls it torture. Site turn search, 4 turn search, 3 turn search, 1. He insisted she is not suicidal and believes the extreme surveillance is a cruel overreaction tied to Epstein's previous jail death. Site turn search, 3 turn Reddit, 26 turn Reddit, 22. Direct statements from Ian Maxwell. I fear for her safety. She remains at great, if not greater, risk, he said, based on her own reports from prison. Site turn News 15. He has publicly stated that the family fears for her safety, following the death of Brunel, a close Epstein associate, and views the pattern as deeply alarming.
So now there's another death of somebody close. I mean, these people are, some of them are getting up there in age. 80 is up there, you could say, up there close enough to where anything can happen. Also like Trump. And again, I don't want to go back into my theory again, but in any case, the evidence is there that the woman has expressed being, in fear of her life, right? Her own brother is a qualifier. He says it. He speaks for his family and her, right? Now, so Congress is looking to speak with Maxwell. Trump and the Justice Department, Trump's Justice Department is looking to speak with Maxwell privately and independently. There is a race. There's a race. So this lady obviously is highly important to Trump because if she wasn't highly important to Trump, he would just release the tapes, the files. I mean, he would just release the files, but he doesn't want to release the files. He wants to be in a race to Ghislaine Maxwell without seeming like he's in one. Look, he makes all these ambiguous statements, but we know what it is. We know what it is. We know what it is.
Maxwell is in prison, and a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people. Do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men? How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach.
Mr. President, the other day a reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is. Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a person well?
First of all, I don't know that, but I do know that
She has. She's been arrested for that. You know
her
that.
friend or boyfriend
Epstein.
was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck. Let them prove somebody was guilty. I mean, do you know that
Oh,
she's
so you're
guilty?
saying you hope she doesn't die in jail? Is that what you mean by wish her well?
Her boyfriend died in jail, and people are still trying to figure out, how did it happen? Was it suicide? Was he killed? And I do wish her well. I'm not looking for anything bad for her. I'm not looking bad for anybody. And they took that and
I mean,
they
she's
made
a
it
child
such
alleged child sex
a
trafficker.
big deal. But all it is her boyfriend died. He died in jail. Was he killed? Was it suicide? I do.
Does that sound like it? Oh my goodness. Big up to Brian Cohen. Oh my God. Oh my God. Does that sound innocent? Does this guy why does he sound so weird?
Maxwell is in prison, and a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people. Do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men? How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and
This is obviously a few years ago in the last term when she was arrested, but this is how he was responding. This is how he was responding back then. I mean, does this sound like a person who's just has nothing to do with it? Nothing to do with it. No, I wasn't there. No. Oh, sure. You want to search my house? No problem. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I have nothing to hide. Does he sound like that? Or does he sound like a 18-year-old or 16-year-old kid who just shot somebody who you have locked up and now is like feeling the heat from the investigator, and it's just like, I didn't do anything, no, and then the next thing you know, if you let this interrogation go on, he's just going to admit to it.
I guess they lived in Palm Beach.
Mr. President, the other day a reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is. Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a
Well, first
person
of all,
well?
I don't know that, but I do know that.
She has. She's been arrested for that. You know that.
Notice how the first thing he does is deny knowing it. He doesn't know that. So if he doesn't know that, in his mind, you can't accuse him of knowing it, and then try to flip the script and manipulate and lie. So his lie is not because he knows that already. No, not what he's about to say is not because he knows that already. He says, I don't know that. Look,
Friend or boyfriend
Epstein.
look at this. This is
was
just
either killed
too
or
much.
committed suicide in jail.
Well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is. Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a
Well, first
person
of all,
well?
I don't know that, but I do know that.
She has. She's been arrested for that. You know
Her
that.
friend or boyfriend
Epstein.
was either killed or committed suicide in jail.
You see that? Her friend, her boyfriend, he's acting like it's not his friend. He didn't say, yeah, my good friend. Yeah, that was so sad. He didn't even, you see that? He's like her boyfriend. Her boyfriend. Yo, it's damn near your boyfriend too, dude. Like, what the heck? It's damn near Trump's boyfriend. It is. That was his best man. That's insane the way he's talking. Trump, I don't know. Obviously, there's no statute of limitation on murder, by the way. There's no statute of limitation on murder. But, yeah, he does not sound like an innocent person. He sounds like a person who's like, damn, you caught me red-handed, and, I have to weasel my way out of this somehow. But
She's now
let's
in
see.
jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck. Let them prove somebody was guilty. I mean, do you know that
Oh,
she's
so you're
guilty?
saying you hope she doesn't die in jail? Is that what you mean by wish her well?
Her boyfriend died in jail, and people are still trying to figure out, how did it happen? Was it suicide? Was he killed? And I do wish her well. I'm not looking for anything bad for her. I'm not looking bad for anybody.
Doesn't that sound like a lot of projection? I'm not looking for anything bad for her. Like, okay, is that what you think people think of you already? You already think that people think that you are wishing something bad for her. And this is back in 2022? No, 2020. What was it? No, 2019. Is that it? Something like that? Whenever Epstein died, right? Now, this is ridiculous. It just seems like he's answering these questions completely not the way an innocent person that knows nothing about nothing or has no agenda would be thinking. It's a lot of projection here. But in any case, so Trump says he wishes her well. Obviously, right? We understand that. He's probably going to pardon her. Just the mere fact that they had discussed it before all pretty much means you know where this is going, right? It's pretty much going with a pardon. That you can be relatively sure of. I mean, if you were putting down money, I'd be going with the pardon straight up because, again, we went over this. He pardons her. Then he's too old. He gets sick. He steps down. J.D. Vance becomes the president and pardons Trump. You see, so there is no statute of limitation on the state charges. But Trump, his whole thing is to slow everything down. Slow all if the net is still working. Okay, we back? I guess we back now. All right, so the state charges, he could still be up for state charges, but he can prolong this. He can prolong it. Come on, he's going to do the same thing he did the last time. He's not worried about that. They already know Trump. By the time they get their hands on Trump for any criminal charges, he's going to be too old, too senile, too sick. He's going to walk in there, all of a sudden, instead of him being Mr. Superman, the most healthiest man on earth, the most healthiest president that's ever existed in the history of the United States of America, says the White House press secretary, he's going to walk out and all of a sudden become the billionaire who is crippled, can barely walk, respirator mask on, things like this, just trying to live out the rest of his life in peace. Please have some humility for the man. The whole argument is going to shift. He's never going to make it to trial. So their plan is not even to go to trial anyway, you see. So I understand why Ghislaine's family would be worried about her, because Trump acts like a criminal, behaves like a criminal. People have died around Trump. People associated with Trump have died miserable deaths. His 3 casino executives, and we're talking about 3 different casinos, all supposed to go and meet Trump, to take a helicopter ride, to have some meeting. Trump calls, allegedly, says he can't make the flight, meet him there at the location. They get on the helicopter crashes, and the pilot and everyone in it dies. Everyone in it dies. Now, no investigation about that, really. No investigation, but obviously he was connected with the mob. That's what most people are saying. That's what's being alleged, right? So when it comes to these kind of deaths or, being unsolved, you would think that mafias and crime syndicates would make it a point to know how to get people to just one by one on the perimeter fall and die, have an accident here or there. This happened, that happened. I mean, you would think they would know how to accomplish that, right? And so if I was Ghislaine Maxwell, I would be afraid just based on the facts for your life. There's only one person that can really save her life. She's already in prison. She's going to do another, in a couple of years, it would already be another 10 more. In 2000, I think, 29? It would be 10 more years left on her sentence. If she wants to have any real life left, basically, it's kind of a no-brainer that she's going to do what she has to do to save her ass. And the only thing that could be was to run defense for Trump, not say anything. And if you do say something, discredit all the information that has previously been public and previously been, acquired by the FBI, right? Now, of course, that won't make sense. Everyone will know it, because then you would also have to say, okay, if her thing is a fraud too, she was locked up. You have to go down a new conspiracy hole, a new line of conspiracy just to believe it. It would be exactly the exact opposite, the reversal of the entire theory that Trump, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, all of them took MAGA through. This is the birth of MAGA that is being rewound, right? But if you got to save your ass, what better shot do you have? I mean, why wouldn't you do that? Nobody would really blame her for that. She's the only person that's ever been charged and convicted, right? Outside of Jean-Luc of some other incidents, but not. I don't believe his charges were directly connected to Epstein's charges in the States, right? That must be a France thing, right? But yeah. So in any case, let me see here. Let me just grab this up, bro. 2 seconds. Is this planned? Okay, there we go. Can I get this back? At this race now. And, for some reason, it seems to be a very desperate race. You can see by how much activity there is. Now, how can you have congressional people seeking to speak with Ghislaine Maxwell? I'm sure I understand why they do. Obviously, they want to give her a chance to tell the truth before she dies, basically, right? But do people trust it? I mean, because then again, you could just release the files. There has been no real logical reason why the files wouldn't be released before more people die. You see what I mean? It's obvious that they can't keep people safe, right? That's obvious. Epstein died when Trump was in office. Trump is in office. Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison. He doesn't have a good record of protecting people that have something to do with him when they're in the hot seat. That's for damn sure. And so now let's see. They're in a race. Congress is in a race. Trump is in a race. He got the FBI, right? Pam Bondi also. DOJ want to go have direct private secret meetings with Ghislaine Maxwell. I wonder what they want to do. Offer her a pardon? They say they want to talk to her. Yeah. We know. It's so obvious. It's already been predicted. Trump wants to talk to her to give her a pardon. Trump's going to give her a pardon. So why wouldn't you be going to talk to her, right? Now, others have requested to go. They don't want it to be a secret meeting. And while all of that is happening, this is also happening. Something else that the DOJ and the FBI don't seem to even want to know about.
From Oregon.
Mr. President, Donald Trump has made some far-fetched statements over the last few months, but a stunner in the last few days was his claim that the Jeffrey Epstein matter was a hoax and a scam. Here is why the president is wrong. The figure at the center of this story was an ultra-rich, well-connected sex trafficker. He was a serial rapist of women and young girls. And for some reason, the Trump administration, that claimed they'd be the most transparent administration ever, turned on a dime. The president had run on a campaign with a promise to expose the Epstein files. Now he and the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, say, nope, nothing to investigate. When it comes to Epstein and sex trafficking, all these claims are just ludicrous. I want the American people to know that that's wrong. If you want to know why, just look at the latest report from our investigators that was discussed in the New York Times this morning. Now, somewhere in the Treasury Department, Mr. President, locked away in a cabinet drawer, is a big Epstein file that's full of actionable information. Follow the money details about his financing and operations that await investigation. Last year, the Biden administration allowed our investigators to look at portions of the file. We did that at the Treasury building. Here is what it says. Treasury's Epstein file details, Mr. President, 4,725 wire transfers. Let me repeat that. 4,725 wire transfers, adding up to nearly $1.1 billion flowing in and out of just one of Mr. Epstein's bank accounts. If you ask me, That is more than 4,000 potential lines of investigation right there. Hundreds of millions more flowed through other accounts. That's even a lot more to investigate.
Facts.
The file shows that Mr. Epstein used multiple Russian banks, which are now under sanctions, to process payments related to sex trafficking.
Facts.
A lot of the women and girls he targeted came from Russia, Belarus, Turkey, and elsewhere. One shudders to think about the kinds of people who must have been involved in trafficking these women and young girls out of those companies and into the Epstein web of abuse. Again, these are all potential leads, Mr. President, the Department of Justice ought to be digging into. This is about years and years of international sex trafficking. None of this is a hoax. None of it is a scam. And I'd like to say I consider it insulting to the intelligence of the American people for the Trump administration to simply say there is nothing to investigate here. Now, when the Trump administration came in with a lot of fanfare about transparency and openness, I said, I'm going to follow up on that. So I wrote to the Attorney General, Ms. Bondi, Treasury Secretary Bessent, FBI Director Patel, and I asked them all to produce the Epstein file to the Senate Finance Committee so it could be reviewed. In fact, I've made that request multiple times.
Hey, Pam, you say I want to see the Epstein and Maxwell CIA and financial records, Les Wexner, right? Clinton's Haiti. Okay, but do you want to see what he's talking about? Because that's public information. Did you hear what he just said? He's talking about wire transfers in the billions of dollars dealing with Russian banks and sex trafficking, a part of Epstein stuff. Biden had already given some of this information to news. This is what he said. I don't know if I need to start this over or what it is. Maybe you just came in and you missed what he was talking about. But in any case, this just happened yesterday. So this is news and it's more stuff. And whether you're wanting Clinton or not, I want them all. I mean, what happened to Clinton? Yeah, how come the MAGAs don't want Clinton in the Epstein files, though? They just want, I don't get it. That's what we're all saying. Every American, every person that cares about sex trafficking, every person that cares about slavery, human trafficking, right? Every American that cares about their tax money and what it pays for and who is going to, they should want to know what's inside of the Epstein files. This, what he's talking about is he's posing a question. He's saying, how come the feds don't want to investigate this, what is already public financial records from the Treasury Department? How come they're not investigating it? And he's going through it. So let's take a little listen.
The Trump commitment to transparency based on the response didn't mean a whole lot because they just refused. Here's what one Treasury official wrote back to me. I'll quote here. The Department of Treasury has previously made documents available relating to the matter in response to your inquiries. Accordingly, we understand that you have the information you seek from the Treasury related to this request. We thank you for your attention to this important issue. Mr. President, for anybody who's familiar with how these discussions go in Washington, D.C., what I just read was code for the bureaucracy saying, you're asking for information, go pound sand. The Trump administration may be trying to close the books on the Epstein sex trafficking. But I want it understood as a senior member of the Senate Finance Committee, where we spend a lot of time looking at where substantial sums of money are going, particularly if they may be promoting wrongdoing and helping to evade taxes. We are going to stay on this fight to hold the wealthy individuals accountable for the harm that they clearly were involved in injuring the young women and others in this sex trafficking. So I'm going to have more follow-up for Attorney General Bondi very quickly. As for today, Mr. President, if she doesn't want to do the investigating, doesn't want the DOJ to do it, let me just restate my original demand. Have that Treasury information given to the Senate Finance Committee and have us on a bipartisan basis do our work. That's what we do in important investigations. If the Trump people believe they need additional authority to carry out the requests that I make again this afternoon, let me offer to help them write the bill myself. The idea that there is nothing more to investigate, not when you have 4,000 wire transfers, many of them associated with the possibility of wrongdoing and sex traffic promoting. The idea that you have that and there's nothing to investigate when it comes to the Epstein sex trafficking operation is ridiculous. Pam Bondi was the Attorney General in the state of Florida, where a lot of the Epstein crimes were committed. The Attorney General ought to know better, of all people. Mr. President, I can't begin to understand the President's handling of this or why he thinks this is just going to go away. But I'm here to say that our investigators have spent 3 full years looking into this. And the reason why is because we feel so strongly about the horror of sex trafficking and our commitment to root it out. The President of the Senate is new to this body, but I'm sure he's dealt with these issues before. You can't have...
All right, now, the leader of the Proud Boys has also spoken out. He's saying this is basically going to damage, it's going to take 90% of Trump's base away from him. So, again, we're on the internet, and we know there's people that get paid to be trolls, right? Disinformate. They want to heighten certain feelings or thought patterns and minimize others, right? So that's a part of social media now. So you can't always think when you're doing things on social media that you can collect data in the same way you would do it in a real anthropological study, right? Face to face, visiting, taking the statements personally, verifying that it's a real person, verifying where that person comes from, these kind of things, the settings, that, this kind of stuff, qualifying information, right? He's saying that 90% is going to, dump Trump, right? But here's the thing. Trump doesn't care. They already set up an exit strategy in plain sight, for everyone to see. Everyone knows this. You may not have figured it out, but you feel inside of yourself that something is not right. You could feel it every step of the way, because none of it is what you would be doing if you were innocent, right? Yourself. So your body has to feel that, even if you can't pinpoint where it is and what it is. But they have this game plan already. They've already announced what it is, pretty much as close as they will ever get to announcing it. And that is, they're going to get rid of Trump. They're going to make him step down and be sick. He wants to. It's part of their strategy before he came into power, was his exit strategy. They have some of these things already mapped out, their strategy, what they wanted to do. And that's why they went about it so quickly, right? They know Trump is old. Trump is never going to face trial for any crime. It doesn't even matter if he had something to do with Epstein's death. He is not going to ever face trial for it. You just have to understand that. Why? Because the legal system and the Congress of the United States, until there's some major shift in Congress and in the Senate, there's no public thing going to happen. There's nothing federal that can happen. And even so, when Trump steps down as a sick man, as a senile, as old, which he is, J.D. Vance is going to give him a pardon. So Trump's going to give Maxwell a pardon because she needs to get out of jail. Who could blame her? Congress can't get her out of jail. Who can be her friend? She has to know that, and she said to herself, she feels, her family says, her family feels her life is in danger. So her taking a pardon you could easily understand why she would, if you believe that she feels her life is in danger, which they've said plenty of times. Every time someone else dies, Epstein, what about Maxwell? I feel my life is in danger. Burnell in Paris, connected to Epstein, he dies suicide in prison. What do you say? When you ask Maxwell, she says, I fear for my life too. What's going on? She believes that's also a murder, right? Allegedly. So she's going to take the plea. Trump, after he gets that plea deal, after he gives it to her, he is going to all of a sudden become sick. All of a sudden become too weak. J.D. Vance is going to assume the presidency. This will happen before the midterm elections because they know they have to get rid of Trump. Think about this. Getting rid of Trump is the only way they're going to get through these midterm elections with a tool to be able to minimize some of the damage. So they're looking for J.D. Vance to do that. But the tech boys are also looking, for someone to keep the control because they're afraid about shit being overturned on them. They have been receiving a lot of tax breaks. So they're worried about the American people too. They didn't just get these $1 trillion tax breaks. They got it whipping the American people's backs. Every single American person, the average American Joe, whether you voted for Trump or not, you're going to pay for that. And it's being paid by taking away your protection for a natural disaster. You're going to pay because they cut money to your local schools. You're going to have less teachers in your schools now this upcoming school year. Yeah, your little MAGA babies and liberal babies are all going to have less teachers. It's just a matter of who's going to have less. And it's pretty much going to be the poor states, which heavily supported Trump. Just like with the natural disasters, they're now organized. Their leadership is on the state level and on the federal level is just non-existent, right? So the tech bros know that. The wealthy know that. So they're looking for J.D. Vance to kill two birds with one stone, minimize the damage, take the presidency. Because look, Trump has been such a lunatic. They just can't really. They want to get rid of him. They want to get rid of Trump. If they want to survive, it's the only way. If they don't get rid of Trump, they're all going down. You have to understand that. The midterm elections is what they're fearing, and they're going to put J.D. Vance, try to find a way. Trump is going to get sick. That's not a big guess. That's how you do it. He gets sick. J.D. Vance, the vice president, takes over. They're not going to risk a midterm election without letting J.D. Vance become the president. They're not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? Why wait? It's going to be a bloodbath at the voting booths. People are going to be getting their revenge. Democrats now want the Epstein files. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody, MAGA, they thought they wanted the Epstein files. Well, now the Dems definitely wanted. The Dems were like, okay, you want, Epstein, there's pedophiles out there. Yeah, there's elitists out there. But we want our pedophile elitist, extortionist, espionage group of billionaires. We want their little party to get stopped. But we want our health care and we want our education, our fair housing. We want these kind of things, child care for our taxes. We want that too. We don't only want the pedophiles. Well, now Now, this might just become the one thing that everybody's like, fuck it. You might have turned the left into fuck everything else. We only voting on the person that promises to get those files. And if enough MAGA people do that too, well, then you got what you want, because those files are going to show the American people what's been going on with their money, who's been conspiring against them. It's not just about sex trafficking. Remember that the MAGA people, according to even them, their conspiracy wasn't just about sex trafficking. It was about deep state. It was about people tampering with the country, controlling the country, a hidden hand. Yeah, there's a hidden hand, but the left doesn't call the hidden hand the deep state. The left calls it corruption and billionaires. That's a different way of saying it. You see? So these people know this. So if they don't get J.D. Vance in that presidency very, very fast, you're going to see Congress definitely be, very likely to be 2/3 Democratic. You're very likely to see that. It's going to be a bashing. And when the Congress and the Senate is it 51? Yeah, one of them has to be 2/3, but the other one only has to be 51. And it's looking like, as long as you have Trump there, it's a possibility to get that 2/3 that's needed to impeach. And once you get that 2/3 that's needed to impeach, you can get rid of those corrupt judges, and you can get rid of the corrupt regime. The authoritarian Nazi regime, Trump regime, pedophile regime, sex trafficking regime, anti-American regime, sellout regime. You can get them out of there too. So the key for the Democrats needs to be that 2/3. And the key for these Republicans is like, damn, what can we do to stop that? And it is to get rid of Trump. If there's any chance of stopping that, it only lies on Trump. He's got to step down, but they don't care, because it's a win for him. He can step down, say he's sick. Before he steps down, pardon Maxwell, he's probably speaking with her right now. I mean, I'm talking about, if you want to get into conspiracies, I'm conspiring on this. I'm thinking this is real. So I agree. I don't go for all conspiracies, but I think this might be pretty much what it is, right? Now, he's going to pardon her. That's going to happen pretty fast. All of these things are going to happen pretty fast. Trump is going to pardon her. Then he's going to get sick. As soon as he gets the backlash for pardoning her, he's going to get sick. J.D. Vance is going to take over the presidency. Then he's going to start talking a little more moderately, try to cool people down. Yes, he's going to try to cool people down, be the cool guy. Remember, Trump is the crazy wacko, and Trump and J.D. Vance is going to play the cool one, right? He's going to try to stop the damage at the 2026 midterm elections. That's their goal. That's their goal. It's up to the American people what they want to do. It's up to the American people what they want to do. You either want more corruption, and of course, there's going to be trolls on the internet that are going to, we don't know who they are. If they, you just have to accept that voice. The MAGA voice was very, very big, by the way. It's big, but look at what they got. All of this, what you're seeing now is MAGA, what they got. This is what they support. This is actually their vote happening. You're seeing their vote being represented because these are the people they trusted. So, hey, it's up to the American people how you want to live. But before and now, under Trump, the last Trump administration, Biden administration, and this current administration, Americans, it's going to get worse than this. But just now, as it is now, and as it has been for the last couple decades, after you pay your taxes, after you pay your expenses, your housing, your car, whatever, your transportation, your kids' school, any of those things, food, clothes, expenses, electricity, water, all that stuff, right? After you pay for the things you need, and the rest of it goes in your pocket. Healthcare, all that stuff you got to pay for. But in the other NATO nations, after they pay their taxes and pay for all their expenses, they actually bring home more money in their pocket every month. more of their own money in their pocket, and they're getting more representation than you. So U.S. citizens are borderline slavery, pretty much, to these tech folk, to these billionaires, not just the tech folk, but the billionaires. Like, this is borderline slavery. And that's why, I don't call it deep state. I call it corruption. Just call it what it is. You don't get paid your value. You don't take home what you should take home. You get less of your work, of your blood, sweat, and tears a day than anybody else in any other NATO nation. And that's just what you accepted as normal. Now it's about to get worse. So you're giving up your 14th Amendment due process rights, because that's going to apply to everybody, no matter who the next administration is. That's going to hold. Once you make these decisions, now you won't be able to go back. The judge won't be able to go back and argue the same. Someone else is going to come and say, you did it for him. See your ruling? And then they're going to be like, oh, you see? So that goes throughout all the federal courts, the low courts and the higher courts. You see? So it's not even going to just hit the Supreme Court. So this is something that is not going to go away. These Epstein files are not going to go away. Trump is going to get the hell out of Dodge. These Republicans are trying to save their skin right now. And not just Republicans, but the corrupt pedophiles are trying to save their skins right now, no matter if they're Democrat or Republican or independent or aristocrat, tech bros, billionaire class, media, legacy media moguls. All of them corrupt, whatever. Not all of them, but you get my point. These folks that got this tax break on the American people's backs are extremely afraid of revenge. They're afraid of the consequences, and there will be a reaction. There will be a reaction. Or unless you're a slave, slaves don't react, do they? No, they don't. So, in any case, I appreciate folks for coming out again. For the people that like the analysis, keep on coming through. Click like, subscribe. Again, I always seem to have these little, with this topic specifically, these little small technical things, these glitches in the internet. It's really starting to make me wonder. But in any case, I appreciate y'all. Stand up for your rights. You deserve more. You deserve more. You complain. American people complain a lot. What are you complaining about? You complain about Biden's money, his inflation. I can barely survive. So MAGA people, you've been complaining about your money a long time ago. You don't want to fix your money now? You don't want to get your pockets straight now, MAGA folk? You did under Biden. You was hurting under Biden. Is your money okay now? Has the problem been solved? Has inflation gone down? So it behooves the people that don't have health care, don't take enough of their money home after a good day's work, don't have disaster relief, don't have all those hurdles. It behooves them to start paying attention and start considering voting if they haven't. And consider not voting for Trump's ass this time around, or JD Vance. Like, consider that they stole your money. They stole your money. They stole your money. And if you're going to let people just steal your money like that, I'll be damned. They're going to come and do it again. Why not? That's exactly what you're supposed to do if you're a crook. You go right back to the same place that was easy to hit up. And the American people are extremely easy to hit up. Peace.
They want more. crying babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go, it's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 rows to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute, you might hear, but they won't, cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't stare. And like an